Welcome back to a Clinch Fight podcast. I'm your host, Michael O'Donnell, and delighted to be joined by my co-host, Mr. Josh Hurst. Josh, how are we doing?
Yeah, all good, all good. So happy to be back. It's been a while, hasn't it?
It has. It's been too long. Unfortunately, we've just been buried in work. This isn't our full-time job, and unfortunately, we have other commitments. But it's good to be talking about the sport that we love once again.
And to be fair, quite a lot's happened as well, so and definitely enough to talk about.
Definitely. A lot has happened over the last couple of months. But before we go on to that, I want to give a shout out to Manscaped, okay? We can give you 20% off all Manscaped products using the code CLINCH. If you want to use the best items that can safely trim those cherries downstairs, look no further than Manscaped. Trust me, your balls will thank you.
Can't get a better pitch than that. Fair play. But yeah. All the information will be in the description.
Yeah, check them out, guys. Seriously, they're really good products, honestly. Anyway, so without further ado, we're gonna move on to our first boxing topic. I want to talk a bit about Gervonta Davis to start off, Josh. He's in a very competitive fight against Mario Barrios. He got the 11th round TKO. What were your thoughts on Gervonta Davis, Josh?
Yeah, good. I think just the fight generally, when I first heard about him going up to 140, I did kind of think, why? But yeah, like you said, it's quite a competitive fight. I imagine they would have cherry-picked someone and just sort of blow him out the water and look like he can bang out whatever weight. But Barrios gave a good fight. I think so much so on the unofficial cards, they had him up by like the 8th or something like that.
Yeah. But
yeah, obviously, like you said, Davis came in when he turned up the heat, just knocked him the fuck out, didn't he? So
yeah,
fair play to Tank. He might have looked maybe a bit more competitive than it needed to be, but again, you can't argue the power he has, and at that weight as well, it's undeniable. So you know, he's a fan favorite. He's just one of those people you want to see in fight. So I think either way, it's good for him, and I suppose it's another big win and technically a title for him to start his collection. What do you think?
Yeah, if I remember correctly, I think the unofficial scorecards had Barrios up, but I think I saw afterwards the official cards had Davis up, didn't they?
Yeah,
and I mean, it makes sense considering that Davis did get a couple of knockdowns, didn't he, prior to the TKO? But I thought really Barrios was nicking the rounds in terms of when it was still standing. I thought Barrios was just nicking it. I thought he was using his height and reach quite well, and he was a decent opponent, to be fair.
Very like technical boxer, just sticks to his jab and really tidy work. So he was good, to be honest. It's nice to see a challenge, but I did see that as well with the cards, and you know, it does kind of make you think about the A side, B side sort of thing with the judges. But yeah, some of the cards I saw some with Tank good couple rounds up, and I thought that's a bit, you know, for Showtime to have an unofficial card with someone who's supposed to be his promoter, or like, you know, the media for him, to have him down. I don't know. It just seemed a bit strange, but it's almost like it doesn't matter anyway. If he when he wanted to, he turned it up and knocked him out. So
that's it. Yeah, and I think that's what kind of separates Davis from a lot of his top challengers out there, which we'll talk about later on the episode. I think he does have that equalizer, Davis, in both hands, doesn't he? And he's very powerfully built. He takes his power up into the higher weights. And personally, I thought super lightweight was a bit too big for him at first, because due to him really campaigning a featherweight and super featherweight and so on. But yeah, fair play. He's proven against bigger men he can take them out as well. And it'd be really interesting further down the line if he ever gets in with the likes of Josh Taylor or Regis Prograis or Ramirez's. You never know, you know.
Yeah, I think it does depend on what kind of opposition he's against, because I think that was my biggest, sort of unsurety when he sort of went up. Was thinking, you know, he's known for his power, isn't he? At that weight, but it's weird with him because he's short as it is, but you can tell he's just naturally, he's like a pit bull, isn't he? He's just short and stocky. Yeah. That's why he's called Tank, isn't it? So I did think at that weight, you know, you probably get some lanky fuckers or like some really people really boil down to that weight. So I thought there'd be a really big discrepancy, but yeah, he knocked him about. So whether he could do that to someone at the top of the tree there, like Taylor. I'm not sure about that, but you can't deny that power is there, and if he's able to take it up by two weight divisions, fair play to him.
Yeah, and I think that's the reason why we love watching Gervonta Davis, because he can take guys out at any time. Like, he's a ferocious puncher, and I think that's why he's so popular in America, because you give him all these different challenges, and 9 times out of 10 he just takes the guy out, doesn't he? And that's why people are buying into that. People love knockouts at the end of the day, and that's what Gervonta Davis brings. Whether or not, I don't think he's really fought the elite at the moment, even though he is a free weight world champion, which we're going to come on into a minute. Even though he hasn't really fought the A-list, the cream of the crop to date yet, he is knocking guys out. He's doing everything being asked of him so far, and you can't ask much more than that, can you?
Yeah, I think going back to what you said, what sort of sets him apart, I think one of the best things about Davis is that when he just seems like he's a bit of a bastard as well. Like when he smells blood, he literally looks like he loves it. Like, I don't know, he just seems like he loves violence. So
he's cold, man. He's cold. Trust me.
That's why I think the fans get behind him. So people want to see him in these fights, because he's literally going out there to try and batter someone. Like I said, it seemed like he flicked the switch, and then that was it. And he's like, okay, I'm gonna finish you now. And then the way he done it was crazy.
Oh no, 100%. I couldn't agree more. I think that's why people love him. He's a killer, isn't he? And once he has you hurt, he's taking you out. He's looking for blood, and that's what people want to see at the end of the day. So Davis claims now to be a free weight world champion. 2 of those belts he holds have been regular belts. I think one was at lightweight, and the other one is at super lightweight. They're 2 regulars. He does hold I think he's held 2 legit ones though at super featherweight. I think he had the IBF, and I think he had the WBA super, which he beat Leo Santa Cruz for in that weight division. But do you buy the whole free weight world champion? I mean, let's be honest. We all know Josh Taylor is the undisputed world champion of super lightweight. So how can Gervonta Davis be a world champion if there is an undisputed world champion in that weight class? What are your thoughts on that?
I'm with you there. I think even more so for lightweight and super lightweight, because they've got basically undisputed champions in Teofimo Lopez and Taylor.
Yeah.
I guess sometimes when you look in the higher weights and you've got about 5 different champions, someone can claim to something. But when you've got 2 divisions you're claiming to be champion in, where there's 2 champions who are actually sort of basically undisputed, and with Taylor being fully undisputed, I just think, I don't know, I just feel like it's not even worth trying to claim being a world champion for that. But it's all good, he's got a title for it, like, fair play to him. But I think to go parading around saying you're a 3 world champion now, when in reality, if you look at his resume, he hasn't actually, well, to be fair, like Santa Cruz and stuff like that, there are some good fights, don't get me wrong.
Santa Cruz is legit.
When you look at the best guys in those divisions, he hasn't necessarily fought them. So I don't know. A funny thing I saw, I was listening to the Fight Disciples earlier this week, and they sort of made comparisons to like him going down the Adrian Broner route. And when they said that did sort of like make me think, because it's just the way you sort of dance around, being a champion or being elite, but then when you actually was it when he actually gets tested, he gets found out. So I don't know. I personally think Gervonta Davis is top notch. So I think he gives everyone he's a good fight with anyone. But I just feel like he's going to lose credibility if he keeps going down this route where he's getting these high claims without backing it up. He's more than what more does he need to do? He's definitely ready for the best. I just wish there's just so much politics around these weights. It's so frustrating, because you just think, just get in there and we want to see who is the best. So he's definitely ready. I don't think he needs any more tuning up. He's already superseded the lightweight to go to super lightweight. I don't think he'll stay there, but especially at lightweight now, there's so many good fights. I just want to see him get in there.
No, yeah, I was going to actually touch on this further on the episode, but while we're on the topic, I think we should just go to it. I think from Gervonta Davis is, because he's managed by Mayweather, who pretty much done his own thing, his own career, and fair play to him, became the richest athlete in the world doing that, the richest boxer of all time. But I think all the fights that we as fans, or we want to see Gervonta Davis take part in, I don't think are going to happen when we want them to. He's going to do his own thing. He's going to go his own route. He's going to probably pick up these regular belts and whatnot. And, like you said, Adrian Broner's a 4-weight world champion.
Yeah.
How many of those belts were legit? Do you know what I mean? Who did he beat to fight, to win some of these belts? And also, I remember Mayweather made comments about they're only going to fight guys on the PBC roster and ones that are managed by Al Heyman. Well, put it this way, who's there in the lightweight division? None of them are there. None of them. There's Teofimo Lopez is with Top Rank. They've got Devin Haney, DAZN. They've got Lomachenko, Top Rank. Do you know what I mean? Like all the top guys, they're elsewhere, and that's the problem now. I think who is Gervonta Davis going to fight if he just stays at one promotional company? It's not what the fans want, is it? It's just
I think you're right. I think obviously Mayweather, they always say about the difference between Pretty Boy and Money Mayweather, you know. But when he was Pretty Boy Mayweather, he was going after people still. It's only when he got himself to the top he was a bit smarter about what fights make sense for him. But I just feel like Davis is sort of put himself at a ceiling now, and he just feels like he's quite comfortable staying there. I just think, I don't know, I think with boxing as well, it's so important about people's opinion of you, and you can quite easily become a villain if you sort of try to dig a hole or just try to play the game a bit too much. At least with Mayweather, he might have strung out fights, but he did them ultimately. And I just hope, whether it's now, whether it's in the future, I just hope they're not made too late. Luckily, we're in a division where a lot of the young bucks, or a lot of the top guys are young, so he's definitely got time for it. But I just think there's no benefit in him waiting any longer than he needs to, because if anything, I reckon he's probably hitting top form now generally. So it's probably best they all start fighting each other.
Yeah, 100%. And like you, just going back to Floyd, when Floyd was Pretty Boy Floyd, he earned the right to pick his opponents. He earned, he was the B-side against Arturo Gatti early in his career, the B-side against De La Hoya. Like, he had to take it on the chin. He earned the right to be the A-side. Luckily for Gervonta Davis, he's had the blessing of Mayweather guys in his whole career. And in all the big fights he's been in, he has been the A-side more or less. I can't remember a fight where Gervonta Davis has been the B-side.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
I don't think he ever has been. So he's very fortunate to have that. And, if Mayweather had that at the time, I'm sure he would have been very grateful for it too. But, end of the day, Floyd earned that. And Davis hasn't quite done that to cherry pick at the moment, and then claim you're a four-weight world champion. You're a bigger name than Josh Taylor, etc. Like the words. To be fair, that wasn't his words. They were Leonard Ellaby's. But we're going to move on now. Just to where do we think Gervonta Davis goes next, Josh?
I don't know. I think he's got to have a think what weight he wants to stick at. I personally think if he can make 135, then that's where he 135. Sorry, super feather. Then that's probably where he should be if he can make it. Because, like I said, he's a short guy. I think he's like 5'5" or something. But obviously he fills out quite a bit. It's just where he wants to stay. To be honest, I think super featherweight, I can't see anyone beating him. But it's just how much does that take out of him making that weight? Because we know he's had some problems in the past, and that's how he lost the title the first time, I think, because he couldn't make weight.
He can't be doing super featherweight too well if he's just fought for the super lightweight title.
Yeah, so, that's what I mean, and to let your body go all the way back down to that now. So I think lightweight probably is that sweet spot for him. Like we sort of just talked about, there's any fight that's perfect for him now. I think you got they say the new four kings, isn't it? We got Garcia, Teofimo, Haney and Tank. Lomachenko's in the mix as well. Any one of them I'd be happy with. I think if we're going to go pecking order, I'm not sure if we'll touch on this in a minute. I'm not sure whether Tank, I'd say, would come out the best out of all of them, but I definitely think he's up there. So, and it's sort of that unknown. You don't know who's going to turn up in the fight. You don't know who's got that extra grit. I just want to see it. So any of them I'd be happy for. I think realistically, if it's going to be one of them, I'd probably see Ryan Garcia or Lomachenko, because I think Haney and Teofimo might have something going on. But yeah, any of them I'd be happy with. But like you said, can I see that happen? I don't know.
Yeah, I think I've got a feeling that Gervonta Davis is the reason why he's going this kind of scenic route to these big fights is maybe build his name up so he becomes the A-side when these big fights happen in lightweight. I got a feeling they might be doing that and planning for it further down the line. Look at Mayweather in his career when he fought Pacquiao. He did all those fights further down the line when he was legit the A-side, and that was that. There was no excuse kind of thing. So maybe that's what they're planning. We're going to move on now to the man himself, the guy you just mentioned, Vasily Lomachenko. Put on a very, very strong performance against, I've got the name written down, Masayoshi Nakatani, 9th round TKO. He looked really impressive. I thought he rolled back the clock, Josh. What were your thoughts on this?
Yeah, it's just a weird one with Lomachenko. It's like, like I said earlier about going from hero to villain in boxing so quickly. I think people forget how elite Lomachenko has been for the past couple of years.
Yeah,
he is literally the gold standard of boxing. Like, especially for someone, if you sort of pay attention to the little things he does, it's to watch him. It's like I'd love to see him in person. Is unreal. And I think when he lost to Teofimo Lopez, don't get me wrong, Teofimo deserved it. I think he comfortably won it. I just feel like all that just sort of got washed away a bit, which is really sad and frustrating to see, to be honest, because anyone who has him in the past will know how good he is. But like you said, it's like he rolled back the clock. I think he really came back with a point to prove, and he battered him, really, didn't he? For the whole period. Fair play to Nakatani. He took a beating and probably went on longer than he needed to. But Loma's not that kind of fighter, is he? He's sort of like, that's why he gets so many people retiring, because he just beats the soul out of you, and I can see that coming already. So whether it was then or earlier, it was inevitable, I think. Really good performance from Lomachenko, I think.
Yeah, I think the problem with Lomachenko is because he's shown such dominance over the years, is like when you have an off night, it's like the end of the world. And it's like, I don't know, it's kind of more controversial. Like, for example, when Floyd fought Maidana that first time round, because Floyd's like almost untouchable every fight, there was like almost a demand for the rematch because it was a close fight.
He got wobbled,
even though Mayweather, I thought, won pretty well in that first fight, still he almost nicked every round. But because it was a little bit closer than a usual Floyd performance, there was a demand for the rematch. However, Lomachenko obviously lost in his last fight, and I think boxing is one of those sports that when you lose, you lose so much like integrity and lose so much respect.
It's like you're as good as your last fight, isn't it?
And I think with Lomachenko, he looked that good that no one expected him to ever lose again, pretty much, and could possibly go down that Mayweather route of not losing for the rest of his career. But he lost against a very good Teofimo Lopez, who was the young gun in that division, the one that no one really wanted to fight. Lomachenko got in there and he lost. It happens. It's sports. There's winners and there's losers.
Yeah, there's obviously the shoulder injury he had as well, which how much you want to read into that, I don't know, but Loma doesn't seem the kind of person to make excuses. So whether it's bothering him, I don't know, but he lost. That's how it goes, isn't it?
But yeah, in terms of Lomachenko's performance, it was a great performance. I don't really think that Nakatani was anywhere near his level. I'd probably put as a B or C category kind of fighter. But from my understanding, I think Teofimo fought Nakatani, and I think Lomachenko did a better job than Teofimo did, didn't he? So
that's what I was going to say. So Nakatani took him the distance, and I think it was a fight that when it happened, people were not contentious to whether he won, but it's like he made hard work out of it. So I think that's really good matchmaking by Loma's team to think, right, let's have Nakatani, who there's a bit of controversy about him and Teofimo's fight. If I go out there and wipe him out, what does that say about me? So I think perfect opponent to get back in there, and a proven durable opponent to go out there and get him out there and batter him the whole time, knock him out. I think that's really puts him straight back where, maybe not exactly where he was, but any sort of controversy that we might have had about how good Loma is, or is he as good as he was? He looked as good as ever then, I think. So fair play to him.
No, for sure. It was a vintage Lomachenko performance. And like you said as well, when you said it was clever matchmaking, for sure it is, because before that fight, I wasn't too bothered about seeing the rematch between Lomachenko and Teofimo. Now I want to see it. I want to see that rematch next. I want to see, did Lomachenko have an off night? Because Lomachenko looked so good. I thought, was there something not quite right with Lomachenko that night? And I want to. There's a lot of questions now to be answered. And I want to. They're both in the same promotional company. Make it happen. I think let's do it. Let's see the rematch. There's no faff. Like we just talked about Gervonta Davis. He's going to be very hard to get in the ring with any of these guys. These guys are both with top rank. Get them in. Get them. For me, they're still number one and number two out of the lightweight crop at the moment. So I would really like to see that rematch. I really would.
Yeah, agreed. I think my opinion changed a bit because I thought Teofimo won comfortably enough. Anyway, it wasn't split decision or anything, so I wasn't that fussed on it. But like you said, I think you just have to see Loma do what he does, and then it just reminds you how good he really is. So I was listening to an interview from Loma, I think beforehand. I think when he was talking about the Teofimo fight, his mentality, I think, is like he lost as opposed to Teofimo winning. So which might be understandable. Like you said, there might have been some stuff going on. Doesn't seem like the kind of guy to make excuses. We know he had the shoulder injury. Maybe it was an off night for him. So, it is a fight I'd like to see. Whether I think it'll happen, I'm not sure. But like you said, it's easy enough to make. They're both in top rank. If there's demand for it, which I think there will be a bit more of now, assuming Teofimo cleans out anything he needs to do mandatory wise. I think why not? While Teofimo was young, or while he's still in this division, it's still a great fight either way. So I'm with you there. I think I would like to see it too.
Where do you think Lomachenko goes next? I mean, obviously now Teofimo's tied up with his mandatory against George Kambosos Jr. I mean, if he's going to wait for another year or so, I don't think Lomachenko's going to want to wait another year, is he, to get back in the ring again? I think at his age, he needs to remain active. Yeah. But at the same time, he doesn't want to risk losing a potential shot at the world title. I mean, we just spoke about the politics of that division. They're all the best fighters. It seems to be with different promoters. Who could Lomachenko fight if it's not Teofimo Lopez?
Yeah, so I think there's whispers of Lopez fighting Haney later this year.
Right. Okay.
Which is realistic because I think they've got sort of history amateur-wise, and it's been a big build up to that. He always says that Haney's a bit of a paper champion because of this WBC super belt and all that crap. Yeah. So I think that fight probably will happen. Like I said, I'm not sure whether Lomachenko can afford to or will want to wait around. So I think he's got to get straight back in there with one of the best. And I don't know. I personally think a Gervonta Davis fight might be potential. To be honest, if Davis was up for it. Because I think Davis would fancy that, seeing what Teofimo did to him. And I think, imagine if Lomachenko can beat Tank Davis, it's like there's no one else to fight. There's no one else to fight at lightweight really to ascertain who's the best. So I think it's going to be hard for Loma, but I think he needs to fight one of these top four guys, and if it's not going to be Teofimo and Devin Haney, because he needs to assert himself as the sort of the next best, or who deserves to be fighting for the title. So whether that'll happen, I don't know, but I think a perfect fight that would make sense, and I think it might be one that people are starting to look at Lomachenko. I think maybe he's past his best a bit, and maybe they got a chance. I think him and Tank would be a great fight. What a fight to watch again. Whether it'll happen, who knows?
I don't think so personally. I just don't think that. I don't think at this stage of Tank's career that Mayweather would put Tank in with Lomachenko, especially after how good Lomachenko looked against a limited opponent, Nakatani, but nevertheless dominated from start to finish. And I just can't see them taking that risk. I mean, if they do, I'll hold my hand up and I'll say fair play to you.
I think with Lomachenko though, it's like he needs to have, I think, what he wants to get from the rest of his career now, because I'm sure he's got enough money. He's basically a god in Ukraine, generally, from all the amateur stuff he did and what he did as a professional as well. I just think even if it means you got to be the B-side, take pennies from someone else, like if he's really, really fussed on about getting that title shot again, it needs to be against someone who themselves looking for a title shot, because I just feel like he hasn't got time to be fighting another Nakatani or another B level fighter, but it's just who is there to fight. So really frustrating division generally. I just really hope they all just sit in a room and work it out, because it's getting a bit boring.
No, yeah, definitely, mate. I think this, like I said earlier, this lightweight division, as glamorous as it is, it's going to be very hard to get them all in the ring against each other. I don't want to be negative. Yeah. I hate being negative. When you see the model the UFC follows, when they all just get on with it and fight each other. Unfortunately, just boxing isn't that sport, and there's a lot of money involved in these fights, and that's why they're harder to make, as you've seen recently with the AJ Fury scenario. And now Fury's fighting Wilder, which we'll touch on later. But yeah, it's just not as simple as that in boxing, unfortunately. We're going to move away now from the lightweight division that has a lot of potential, but we're going to move to the monster, Naoya Inoue. I think I pronounced his first name right, but I know his surname is definitely Inoue.
Yeah.
What did you think of his performance against Michael Dasmaranas?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Inoue, so I think he was on my radar. I think since the McDonald fight, I remember when he went out there to Japan to fight him, and I hadn't heard much. I just heard he's called Monster. Been sort of trying to keep in touch with him since, and then we can also go to the World Boxing Super Series against Daenerys. Really sort of that sort of the whole tournament sort of set him alight then, didn't it?
Yeah.
In that fight, he definitely lived up to the names, and he's a scary guy. So huge knockout of a decently ranked opponent from what I know, and he just made it look easy. Like I just can't believe that. Just every punch he throws just looks like it does so much damage. Or he's got so much whip in it. I don't know. He's a scary guy, and I just think excellent performance. But I just think he needs some respect on his name because
he does.
He's got he's too good to be not as well known as he is. Anyway,
it's like, if you had like a pound for pound punches list, he'd probably be number one, and he's a bantamweight. Like that's how hard he punches, and he's so destructive. He literally destroys his opponents like they're nothing. The only fight I haven't seen destroy was Daenerys, and fair play to Daenerys. He took some big shots that night as well, and he fought like a man possessed. But in terms of like you said about his opponent, the Dasmaranas. I mean, I remember the commentary. They're all saying, "Oh yeah, he's from the Manny Pacquiao stable. He's from the Philippines." He's about as much like Manny Pacquiao as I'm like Usyk. Do you know what I mean? I don't think he was very good. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like Inoue is amazing. Like he's a very good fighter, but he was nowhere near on Inoue's level.
But I don't know if that more. I don't know, does that show how far ahead Inoue is? Because, like I said, on paper, that guy is a well-ranked guy. So if we're saying that technically he's earned himself a world title shot, he should be. Is that near the cream of the crop in that division, or does that tell you more a bit about just how far ahead Inoue really is? Because I just think he's just toying with people, isn't he? Because I think around that weight, there's not many huge names. Obviously, got, like you said, you got Daenerys, I think it's Casemiro and stuff like that.
Casemiro, Regondo.
So these are people we'd want to see, and so I think they're probably more suited to his level. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, it's I just think he probably could be fighting better people. But I think at this point, unless it's one of the top guys, he's going to knock him about, isn't he? So
was it a mandatory, the challenge he had?
Yeah, I think so.
God, what a horrible mandatory for some. Like, imagine being the mandatory challenger for Inoue. There's 3 champions in that division. There's Casemiro. There's I think there's Inoue holds 2 of the belts, and I can't remember the other one. But imagine being the mandatory for that one. Like, poor man. Like, honestly, but yeah, I mean, there are some interesting. There are better opponents out there, I think, for Daenerys, but. I mean, Inoue, sorry. But I think Inoue's already fought, isn't he, in the World Super Series? He's already cleaned up most of the guys he's supposed to be beaten. So that was the challenger available. It's probably not easy for him to get a unification fight either. I don't think people are very keen to get in there with him unless good money's being offered. And obviously the money fights aren't really at the bantamweight division. That's the problem. Yeah. But I think it's all about really Inoue now building his profile in America. He's already a superstar in Japan. He could even come over here and become a superstar. I'd love for him to come to Britain and have a fight. But I think it's all about now. He knows he needs to crack America, and I think that's like you said. He needs to get the recognition he deserves, and he's probably only going to get that fighting in America.
Yeah, he's too good to not be as well known as he is, and I think a lot of that does come down to the weight that just naturally. People don't tend to tune in as much because they want to see 2 people knock each other. But I don't know. I think there's just a general assumption that at lower weights it's not really knockout. It's a bit more about speed and precision.
Fights,
but he's throwing that out the window, and he's just battering people. So I think if you watch one fight of him, I think it's just getting people hooked on him. Because once you see him once, you know what he's about then. So I think when we talk about pound for pound, he's got to be up there, and I just think he just needs he's got all the all the talent. He just needs a bit more exposure, and he'll be a superstar.
Yeah, like I said, there's not many fighters, to be honest, that I'm very interested in watching in the lower weight divisions. As bad as it sounds, for someone who loves the sport of boxing, I don't really tend to tune in.
Though, isn't it?
You know, I don't get up at 4 a.m. in the morning to watch, you know, a bantamweight world title. But with Inoue, it's different because he absolutely steamrolls these guys and knocks them clean out. I tune into Inoue because he's different, isn't he? There's not many, like I said, in the lower weight classes, I only really watch. I love watching Chocolatito, he's class, and I like watching Inoue, but that's about as much as it gets, really, as good as it gets for me. And I think that's why Inoue could be the man to kind of create more interest in these lower divisions, kind of like Manny Pacquiao did when he climbed straight up all the way from like flyweight or whatever it was, all the way up to welterweight.
That's the same as Inoue, isn't it? He started at the lightest weight. He's found himself now at bantamweight. So I think we've got to ask the question: where does the sort of limit stop for him? Obviously, you've got that blueprint with Manny Pacquiao, but he's a freak of nature, and so it'd be interesting to see how much Inoue can take that power up with him, because that's his sort of major. Well, that's him, isn't it? His power. Yeah. So it'd be interesting to see if he can take that any further. But he's doing it so far, and this doesn't, you know, if he was doing that at light flyweight. God, I haven't even seen any of his early fights, but he must have been killing people.
Yeah, I think that's what is going to make people tune into Inoue. They want to see how heavy he can go. What's the benchmark? Like what's it going to be the benchmark for him? When's it going to stop? When's he going to like hit a brick wall, meet his match almost? And it could take a bigger guy to do that. And so far, he looks pretty comfortable at bantamweight. He looks like he's going to clean up, doesn't he? If he can get those fights.
Yeah,
and ultimately, it's kind of like Roy Jones Jr. You know, he's how high can he go? What's it going to be? What's it going to get to? Do you see anyone potentially stopping Inoue's streak? Is there anyone that comes to mind?
I don't know. I think it's hard to say now because, like I said, there's only a couple of fighters in the mix who would be a good fight for him. Like you said, we've got the Rigondeaux, Casemiro, maybe even Donaire again. You know, there are fights for there, but it's I don't know. I think with the momentum he's getting now, I can't see anyone beating him because I just think he's got that equalizer which changes everything. So obviously that Donaire gave him a good fight in the Super Series, but you could argue that maybe you know, he's a bit over ego, or he was you know, just thought he could walk through someone which he needed a bit more thought about it. But I think he's matured since then, and visibly he looks. I don't know. I think with the thing with Inoue, even when he does it, it's not like he just goes out swinging. He's very like calculated how he does it. Like
he doesn't rush his work at all. And he's so patient.
He makes every punch count. Like everyone, even if it's hitting them on the arms or you know, he's thinking he knows how hard he hits, that he's going to get someone to guard up as soon as he hits somewhere. And then he thinks, oh, okay, they guard their head, I'll just whip one to the body. And you saw that in his fight. He crumpled him, didn't he? So.
Yeah, he did, honestly. I think with Inoue, in terms of who is out there to stop him, my honest answer is I don't really know. But I would Rigondeaux, if the Rigondeaux of maybe 8 years ago, if he could turn back the clock, that's a really good fight. Rigondeaux was so good before he fought Lomachenko. When back at the time when he fought Donaire, he was outstanding. Like probably one of the most skillful boxers I've ever seen.
Yeah, he should take the piss out of you, didn't he?
Yeah, he was so good. Like, but you couldn't get the fights for years, and then obviously he took the fight against Lomachenko, who's obviously just too big and strong for him, and that kind of ruined him a bit. And he's looked vulnerable ever since then. So I'm not sure how good Rigondeaux is, but if Rigondeaux can turn back the clock, and I think if he makes a statement against Casemiro and beats him, that could be a big fight, I think. And maybe at last, Rigondeaux can get the fight he wants, you know, the big kind of name, because he can never get that throughout his whole career. Remember, he came to Cardiff to fight Jazza Dickens because he couldn't get the fights. And you know, it's such a shame. And unfortunately, though, I think Rigondeaux is about 40 years old. So how much he has left, I don't know.
I think you're right. I think it's just like which Rigondeaux you'll get then, isn't it? But I don't know. I think for Inoue, I think if he can't, he's just going to keep clearing out divisions till he feels like the weight's too much for him. So I think if you want to be a superstar, I think he's got to at least get to featherweight.
Yeah.
So it's just one of them. You never know until he's there. But I think at this moment in time, with the momentum he's got, can't see anyone stopping him personally.
Hey, imagine he makes it to lightweight and joins the crop of lightweights.
Do you know what I mean? That's imagine. What I mean. It's mad, isn't it? Like, it's mad. Like, if you think, it's just what I mean. If you think of even Loma or whatever, he's gone up from wherever as well. So who knows? I think that's maybe a step too far. But like when we're talking about even super feather, if it's that much of a push, it's who knows? Who knows? Literally, boxing's mad.
Would we ever imagine Manny Pacquiao to go all the way up to 154 to win a world title back in the day?
What I mean.
I remember when they announced Pacquiao against De La Hoya over 10 years ago, and I thought, no way is Pacquiao going to go up to welterweight and cause De La Hoya any problems. He's just too small. Ended up retiring De La Hoya. That's how much beating he gave him. And then went up to 154 later on in his career and fought Antonio Margarito. And
battered him as well, didn't he?
It's just, so you never know. Inoue could be one of those. I mean, it will take a very special fighter to do anything close to that. But who knows? He's already a 4-weight world champion. He's already dominated the lower weight divisions. So watch this space, I guess. Just follow Inoue's career.
Space. Yeah, definitely. If you haven't seen him, check him out.
Yeah, definitely, honestly, because I don't think, unless you're a hardcore boxing fan, you're probably unlikely to have checked out an Inoue fight. But honestly, this guy he's the real deal. He really is. I'm going to move on now to the trilogy. Tyson Fury, there's Deontay Wilder. What's your thoughts on this, on the third fight happening, Josh? Are you happy about it? You excited? You disappointed? What's your thoughts?
Again, we obviously touched on, when it was nearer to the time being confirmed, we were touching on Adrian Fury, which seems like
adamant was happening.
Yeah, we were almost getting into the preview for that. So I think it was a bit of a stinker that what happened. But at this point, I just feel like it is what it is now. I'd be lying if I said I'm not going to watch the fight or anything, or that I'm so disappointed that I'm going to refuse to watch it because it's still top heavyweight class. So you're going to watch it. Yeah. But again, it's just another example of some of the shithousery in boxing at the moment, isn't it? Yeah. So definitely wasn't pleased to hear it because we were that close to getting an all-British undisputed world title challenge between Fury and AJ. But there's worse things to happen. So I think there's a blueprint for Fury now just to put that to bed. And hopefully that AJ fight, obviously with Usyk as well, they both come through and then that's to follow. But I'll be lying if I'm not going to tune in. I do think it's, like I said, the blueprint's there to beat Wilder. I do think it's a bit more of a cash out from his part, but you never know. That's the sort of craziness Wilder brings with him, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm not going to talk about this fight too much because we're going to do a big episode on it closer to the time. But already I'm really finding the build-up really strange. What Wilder announces as a trainer, Malik Scott, a guy he knocked out in one round, to take him to that next level and beat the puzzle that is Tyson Fury, which is beyond strange for me. And then there's also the press conference where Wilder just has his headphones on and just says nothing. And which really like you said, if he's cashing out, this guy, he's trying to sell the fight. And to be honest, I don't think this will do the numbers the second fight did, personally. I don't think it will. I think a lot less interest.
And he's not doing himself, I think Wilder's not doing himself any favors doing that. So I just think obviously he had all these things coming out about the gloves and the controversy, this suit, Mark Breland fucking poisoning his water with mozzarella. Is there not someone in his team tell him either if you think that, at least shut up about it though, because
just tell him to shut up. That's what you need to do.
He's digging this hole, and I just think he's going out sad, man. Like for someone who with the claim he had, and a lot of people still follow him and still feel like he was a really elite champion. Fair enough, that's your opinion, but I just think you can't defend what he's saying now. And for him to keep digging it and then to do the not talking stuff, or I've seen a couple of interviews. He's still gone about how he cheated the first fight. I don't know. I just think if that's what you feel. It's certain is bullshit. Just sort it out in the ring then, and maybe that's how he feels like he needs to be quiet and doesn't want to say anything. But at the same time, I don't know. I just don't know who is in his media team or who's in his close circle is sort of being yes men to him. But he looks like he's fucking deranged or something. Like he's got like that's really knocked a screw loose out of him the last fight. So
he's a weird
I don't
bloke,
know.
mate.
I worry for Wilder.
He's a very weird bloke. I don't want to be too disrespectful of my words, but the way he goes about his business is bizarre. But like, I don't know if you saw this. Did you see the video of him when he's bench pressing some weight?
Yeah.
And he's pretty much probably like, you know, I'm not a professional bodybuilder, but like probably the worst form I've ever seen. Like the weight flying everywhere. He's using his legs mostly.
Yeah.
And he's got two guys each side picking it up for him, more or less.
And
then, do you see the Dillian White response when he's basically lifting the same weight but with dumbbells?
Yeah.
Oh, man, it's funny, mate.
They even had Chris Lloyd doing it. He like quoted the tweet and said, "Oh, this is me doing 12 reps of it or something." He said, "Oh, I'm not gonna claim I'd win enough fight because I'm chinny," but it's just like I don't know who. What was
the weight out of interest? What was
it? I didn't see it. You're gonna try it yourself, was it?
Yeah, I'm gonna try it now in my bedroom. But
it was a max rep though, wasn't it? So
yeah,
I don't know.
That's what I mean. Like you know, it wasn't the cleanest rep I've ever seen. But at the end of the day, we're talking about boxing, not weightlifting. But the point I'm trying to make is I don't know what point Wilder was making lifting that. Like I just don't. Like I said, he just goes about his business really bizarrely. Honestly, I don't get the man. But yeah, we'll I think we'll save the Fury Wilder talk close to the fight. We'll do a big preview of it. And, where we see it going.
Yeah, I think if he was going to do the no talking thing, I wish he just stuck to that. And then it was like he's not here to chat; he's just here to do his business. I'd rate him for that because I just think fine. You don't even want to get into the mind games of Fury. You just want to go out there and do what you do. Fair enough, but it's just it's in and out, and he just seems like I don't know. He's just really ruining his legacy at the moment. I think so. He needs someone just to shake him and sort it out. But yeah, let's save that for the preview.
Yeah, let's move on now to the big fight camp week 1. Matchroom have just announced it. Really enjoyed the last series, the first series of fight camps. Kept me sane over lockdown. Really good 50-50 matchups, to be fair. Like, and I really enjoyed it. It was really good. It was something different as well. You know, it was in Eddie Hearn's garden at the Matchroom headquarters. It was just different, wasn't it? It wasn't your typical kind of like other promoters use studios, which you kind of expected during COVID. It wasn't boring, you know, a good fight's a good fight at the end of the day, but it just adds a bit of spice to it, doesn't it, when you see the location and what's going on?
Definitely. Yeah, I think Hearn really solidified himself as a top promoter then as well, because I think that was the first boxing we'd seen since the start, I think. And to do something so crazy and put on really good domestic fights as well. Obviously, there was some brought over, but really good domestic sort of 50-50 fights here and there. Was he really set the tone for the rest of the fights going forward, and I think from that a lot of behind closed doors fights came off the back of it. So yeah, it was wicked last year, and it's interesting they've decided to do it again. Considering stuff's open a bit more, but maybe it's because people like this new dynamic of seeing something different in boxing, which you don't see very often.
Yeah, I mean, like with the UFC, obviously Dana White did the whole Fight Island thing. And for me, that was undisputed. That was the best thing of any of them. But I got to give it to Hearn. He tried to make something a close second, and he did pull out the bag. Hearn, it was good
in the boxing world, anyway.
That was
Dana White smashed it last year, so fair play to him.
But yeah, that was the most similar thing you could get to the Fight Island, and Hearn pulled it out the bag. I'm going to read a few matchups to you we'll discuss week 1 for this episode. So obviously he's headlined by Conor Benn. This is Adrian Granados. Shannon Courtney is going to be defending her title. They haven't got an opponent as of yet. Avni Yildirim, the guy who fought Canelo, just under a year ago, wasn't it? Will be facing Jack Cullen. We've got Chris Billam-Smith against Tommy McCarthy. So that's going to be for the British and Commonwealth and European cruiserweight titles. Good fight. And Anthony Fowler has got a decent test against Robert Garcia. And we've got Campbell Hatton against an opponent they haven't announced yet. Probably, a tune-up kind of fight, a journeyman kind of thing. Nothing wrong with that, because he's nothing wrong with that, bin man. But at this stage of his career, it's not going to be a world beater. Let's be fair. Just want to hear your thoughts really on these matchups. Have Matchroom kind of pulled up the bag again? Is it good 50-50 matchups or close to 50-50?
I think some fights are really good, don't get me wrong. I think with Hearn, he's just very clever in the way he puts out fights. I think obviously he markets them as 50-50 and some are, to be fair. But I think what I try to think is, can I safely think who's going to win each fight? I think I could probably do that for a lot of them. Don't get me wrong, some of them like Chris Benoit-Smith and
Tom McCarthy.
Tommy McCarthy. That's a pick 'em because they're both on the exact same level. I'd say that's a real pick 'em. So there are sprinkles of that, but I think when we think about Ben, I think his match making has been flawless throughout his career because he's been matched up so well. I don't know. He's been primed to do really well. I just think he's not rushing. Granados is a tested guy against a lot of good champions and top fighters in the division. And I think that Vargas fight beforehand, these are perfect fights for him to develop. I just hope they don't try and oversell it like it's a 50-50 because at the end of the day, Ben should be smashing him really though, isn't it? So Ben Granados, good fight, good matchmaking. Obviously maybe we'll speak about it afterwards, but does Ben need to turn up a notch maybe, or does he need a bit more competitive fights maybe? But he's still young. He's doing what he's told, and the way he beat Vargas last time, can't fault him. So Granados is a good scalp to collect. So a good scalp to collect. Sorry. So decent fight.
Yeah, Conor Ben's a strange one for me. He's really like, I gotta be honest, he's a bit Marmite for myself. I think he's got potential to be the next British superstar. I really do, because I think, he's carrying the Ben name and he is good to watch. I got to give it to him. Like, he's got a good style to watch and he can blow you away when he wants to. But at the same time, they're putting him in these guys like Sam Vargas and Granados. Like they're good fighters, they're good kind of B or C category fighters. They're not world beaters, like I always like to say. But, he's kind of making out like that's above British level. Like, do Adrian Granados and Sam Vargas win a British title? I don't think so. I don't know if they beat McKinson's or maybe Chris Jenkins. It might be close fights, but I don't think Sam Vargas, if they said to Sam Vargas, fancy fighting for the British title or Granados, they're not going to win it like that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't.
Or even like Avanesyan.
I think they're foreign equivalents to British level. I would say, in my opinion. Do you know
it's
what I mean?
They're almost like world level journeymen, isn't it? It's like,
they are, yeah.
It's just like it's to get a name under you, and I think that is fair play. That's perfect for Ben because he's trying to establish himself as that he's fought someone that Sean Porter's fought. He's fought someone that.
That's it. That's what they're doing. Yeah.
That's what they're doing, really. Just to throw comparisons so there's people to bounce off in the future. It's natural. I get they're gonna take their time with Ben because, like you said, I think he's got potential to be a British star. So yeah, these fights, they're gonna happen. But whether it's a 50-50, Ben's supposed to win that, isn't he? It might be marketed as like he's a ex-world champion, world title challenger, but in reality, European title, Avanesyan batters them, doesn't he? So do you know what I mean? Even British level, McKinson and stuff give them good fights. So I think just because they've been in America and they fought XYZ doesn't necessarily mean they're they're amazing fighters, game fighters. And I think it's good learning experience. But I just think don't sell it as like a 50-50 because you only, for people who know what they're on about, I think you sort of pulling the wool over a bit.
Yeah, I think our top boys are welterweight beat these guys as well. I don't know if they blow them away the way like Conor Ben does, but I think they beat them on points. Do you know what I mean? They get some good rounds. They get some good rounds out of those guys as well. Do you know what I mean? I think, and it does irritate me a little bit when they make out like he's just beaten a world beater because Sean Porter went the distance with him, or Amir Khan went the distance with him. I think to be fair, that Granados, was it? Didn't he was kind of robbed against Broner, I think, wasn't he? Was it against Adrian Broner? He had a close fight with him. But at the same time, like Adrian Broner is one of those guys who kind of fights the level of his opponents, doesn't he? Like Broner can really turn it up when he wants to, but if the attitude isn't there, he's not going to be at his best, is he? So
don't get me wrong. I think it's a natural step towards getting into those fights, which is fine. Like I said, he's probably a good step after Vargas because he's probably a bit more of a game world title challenger. But again, it's just like Ben's supposed to win, isn't he? So I think that the controversy with Ben is because of the route he's taken to get where he is. I think he hasn't gone the classic Brit. He hasn't cleared out Britain. He hasn't cleared out European. He's gone the global intercontinental route, just grabbing up these titles that no one knows who actually, how you get them or what they even mean. They're just for the paper, aren't they, really?
That's the point I was trying to make, I think. I just didn't got my words correctly. Like, he's making out that the opponents he's fighting is jumping over the British level. But what you're doing the equivalent, but you're going the other way around. You're not don't disrespect the British title route and make out you're fighting these guys who are better, because they're not. Do you know what I mean? It's just another route.
Especially at welterweight, because I think maybe that's probably why they have done it, because if you think top welterweight's Britain, McKinson gives him a good fight.
Yeah.
European after that, Avanesian. No one wants to fight Avanesian.
Josh Kelly. I mean, they're tough fights.
These are the equivalent of fringe level world fighters anyway. So I don't blame him for going that route, but I just think they're treading water in the way they're trying to market it as he's gonna, that he's nearly world level now, because we still haven't seen enough of him at the lower levels to be sure. But I'm sure he'll come through it with flying colours. And if he batters Granados and makes it look easy like he did Vargas, can't fault him. So I just hope he gets, I don't know, I just hope he doesn't sort of just float around for too long.
Matchroom, you can't bullshit us. We know who these guys are. We know they're not better than our British level fighters. They're the same. They're just they're different routes. They're the equivalent, but the other side of the world.
Yeah.
You can't bullshit. Don't bullshit the bullshitters. All right.
Yeah. Well, is that August time? Is it? Those fight.
End of July.
Okay. So we'll probably touch on that a bit more in depth.
Definitely.
Closer to the time, but just generally good to see him out again, because as long as he's saying this, you can't fault him. What do you think of some of the other fights?
Yeah, so I was going to ask you actually, which fight are you looking forward to most, and why?
I think for me, the best fight of the card is probably McCarthy, Bill Smith, but I do think a real sleeper on the card is Yildirim Cullen.
Okay,
because I just think it's such a random fight. Like I don't know, Jack Cullen is sort of been British level super middleweight for a while now, but he's just coming off a win against that John Doherty guy who was supposed to be the next sort of, I don't know, GB guy. He's winning everything, smashing people up, and you beat him up. So for Cullen, that's to go from top British level, then suddenly fighting Yildirim, who technically, you only fought Canelo last year. Don't get me wrong, he shouldn't have been anywhere near him. That's just a really random fight, and you never know what might happen there. You got the cream of British versus like the bottom end of world challenging. So I don't know. When we talk about Ben and Granados and Vargas, it'd be like him chucking in with one of the top welterweights. It's just like you never know what might happen. So I think that's a bit of a sleeper. But I think in terms of what fight I'm be tuning in most for would be McCarthy and Bill Smith.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the fight I'm looking forward to most is also Bill and Smith and Tommy McCarthy. We'll do the predictions. Like I said, another episode we'll probably do predictions then. But I think that's like you said earlier, like stylistically, and I think they're at the same point in their careers. They're at a similar level. I think both of them kind of need each other now to progress that next one. I mean, the winner of this potentially, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, might get a shot at the Coley or maybe another world champion at cruiserweight. Probably not Bill Smith because he's at the same stable as a Coley. But I mean, if Tommy McCarthy wins, it could set up a story. Could get him an opportunity against Coley maybe.
Yeah, but I think a Coley might be a bit too far gone now. But I think either way they'll be knocking on the door. You've got like Riakporhe floating around.
Riakporhe rematch. They've both lost to Riakporhe, haven't they?
Yeah, that's right. So, and they were both a bit, not the McCarthy, but the Bill Smith was a bit ropey as well. So, that's on the cards. But big fights for them on the back of that either way, I think. And like I said, I think they're both perfect timing to fight each other now.
I like that division. I like the cruiserweight division domestically. I think Coley's obviously number one. I think Riakporhe is a very good fighter. I really want to see him fight a Coley in a couple of fights' time. Yeah. If he can get to that level. Obviously, Coley's been I think he might be being fast tracked a little bit to heavyweight, see how fast he can clear out the cruiserweights.
Yeah.
But you got obviously Coley, Riakpo, you got Billum Smith, who's decent. You've got McCarthy, who's good. I think it's an interesting division. I like to see them all. They probably won't all fight each other because some of them will probably get left behind after they've lost in their domestic challenges. But it's an interesting division. Some good names, I think. And cruiserweight's always fun to watch. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
Big punches. They're small heavyweights, aren't they?
Yeah, it's a nice balance between skill and power. So good division.
For sure. I think another fight that's gone under the radar a bit as well as Anthony Fowler and Roberto Garcia. I think that's Roberto Garcia isn't a world beater, but Fowler's obviously as well quite a controversial character. He's a bit of a marmite, isn't he, with a lot of fans. He's quite outspoken on Twitter and social media, but he's working with Shane McGuigan. He's gone strength to strength since. He's been unbeaten since losing to Scott Fitzgerald. And and I think this Garcia's, I think, if I remember correctly, has he been stopped before? I think he might not have been stopped yet. And I think...
okay.
I don't think he's been stopped yet, but
it's one of them.
It's a big statement, I think, if Fowler does take him out. And I think it shows maybe how far... Well, either Garcia's just finally caved in and just thought, like, there's only so long I cannot get stopped for, or Fowler and McGuigan come up with an amazing game plan to take him out and look good in doing it. Because I think if Fowler wins this really well and knocks him out, I think he gets a good opportunity for a potential fight, a big domestic fight at 154.
I think it's even like it's almost just like again scalping a name for your collection. But I think he's got, if he wins this as well, you could also see maybe following the sort of Ben route and just thinking, I'm past British level now. I'll start going to. So you never know. I think if it's just a fight he wants to be tested and he feels like he can't get a domestic fight at the moment, fair enough. But I would like to see him see the super welterweight domestic.
Ted Cheeseman, man. Ted Cheeseman fight is the one, I think. Yeah. Cheeseman Fowler could be a wicked fight. Right? And it could be both big punches as well.
Yeah, that's what we want to see at the end of the day, isn't it? So there's big enough fights for him. Be interesting to see how it goes though.
So it's quite an underrated weight division, 154, I think. So you've got obviously Liam Smith is probably top of the pile in Britain at the moment.
Yeah.
Obviously you've got Fowler, you've got Fitzgerald, you've got Cheeseman, Metcalf's going to probably struggle to get back into that mix now. But obviously Sam Eggington, he's just outside that mix now. There's some good names in that division.
And then that's what I mean.
Good fights to make.
It's quite genuine, but then you've got to think top of the tree. You've got like the other Charlo brother. Like it's almost forgotten about, really, like Rosario, things like that. But big fights. I think the domestic level for that division is, like we sort of said with the welterweight, it's almost like that's probably European standard, if not fringe world level anyway. So really good fights potentially from that. But good for Fowler to get out again. Be good to see something, one of them happen after, hopefully.
Yeah, I think that's really a good. It's a good place to maybe leave it there. Or is there anything else you want to touch on?
I don't think so. Just maybe a quick one to Jay Harris and Reese Edwards, who had fights the last couple of weeks. Yeah. Jay Harris, for those who don't know, fight out Lockett Gym, got unlucky. I think he was in a fight with, I can't remember how to pronounce the other guy's name, a young guy from the States who actually got him out of there. So he did really well, to be fair. I think he just got stuck in a fight he didn't need to. But really good opposition, so can't fault him. I don't doubt Harris belongs up there. You can see how he thought the fight he had with Martinez. It's just a shame he'll have to go around maybe and sort of work his way back up.
Yeah.
But commiserations to Jay. Really, really good guy. Has been supportive of the channel in the past. I think you just take a break and see where it goes from there. And I think it was Friday Reese Edwards fought, didn't he?
Yeah, Reese Edwards,
really good performance. Obviously not, I think it was more just getting back out there because I think he hasn't fought over the COVID period at all. Yeah. So he's a really good prospect, and I think we really need to get behind him a bit more, just as Welsh fans generally, because I think we've got someone really special there. Seems like he loves the game, and he's always working hard. So we'll hopefully get him on and maybe hear a bit more about his story and get him a bit more exposure. But from what I saw in the fight, really good. And I think he's a really good prospect.
Definitely, for sure. We really look forward to having these guys on our channel one day. And yeah, like Josh just said, get behind these Welsh boys, these Welsh prospects. Jay Harris, he's got a bit of the rebuild to do, but like you said, he definitely has shown that he belongs to that level. He's fought two very good fighters in Martinez and I can't remember the other guy's name as well, but both in cracking fights, cracking wars. And I think Jay Harris could get there eventually. It's not going to be easy, but
he's definitely got the talent for it. I just think
it's
like we said earlier in the fight, it's boxing. Shit happens, doesn't it? So seems like he's not moping about it. He's dusted himself off already. I think he's just taking a little break to reclimatize. But he's definitely got the talent for it. Wish him all the best for when he gets back into it.
And same with Reese Edwards. Keep doing your thing. Keep getting fights. Stay active. Get as many fights as you can now. Obviously, you've been out the ring for a while. Let's get the show back on the road and see where it can take you.
Quick one before I forget. Again, for Reese, I know he's just released his own YouTube channel as well. I think it's just Reese Edwards. He's starting to do vlogs and stuff like that. So any subscribers we have for there, definitely send it that way. It all helps the Welsh boxing scene going forward anyway.
Lovely stuff. Also with us, you can follow our social media accounts on our link tree. We are on Twitter and we are on Instagram. Also, we're also showing our videos and recordings both on YouTube and Spotify. Don't forget to subscribe to us, follow us on Spotify. You know the score. Just show us some support because we really need to be consistent and we need to get you guys on board to help our channel grow further.
Yeah, definitely. It's been a while. Both teams, or just generally all three of us, been busy. But we're back on it now, and there's definitely enough content to talk about. So stay tuned.
Cheers, guys. Peace out.
Cheers, guys.